Hi everyone, Michelle here. Today I'm actually bringing you a video that I have wanted to film for a really long time and was a big part of wanting to create my channel. It's my favourite books of 2018. I have 7 that I'm including in this particular list. Last year, due to a lot of illnesses and problems, I only ended up reading 14 books. Generally, I read more than that. And quite a big bulk of them were a part of a series, and of course I didn't want to include every single book in a series that I read in 2018. So yeah, we have 7 books, and let's get into it. My first book is Pages & Co., Tilly and the Bookwanderers, by Anna James. And it's about a girl called Tilly who lives in a bookshop with her grandparents. They own it. And throughout the course of normal life, she begins to realize that some of the customers coming to the store are actually characters from books that she knows. And she's introduced to something called book wandering. It is a fabulous book, written so lovely. The relationships between friends, lovers, enemies are written so eloquently, and I just absolutely loved this book. It includes a lot of well-known literature such as Alice in Wonderland and Anne of Green Gables, and a large part of the story takes place in A Little Princess, and I absolutely love those novels as well, and I really appreciated how the writer incorporated those novels, not only referenced them. So I highly recommend this book. Yeah, it's very popular at the moment. If you haven't read it, you should. The next book I have in my list is The Colour of Magic by Terry Pratchett. Now, if you don't know anything about Terry Pratchett novels, he does a series called the Discworld series, and this is his first book. And The Colour of Magic is a fantastic introduction to this world that he has created, which exists on the back of a turtle. It is a novel full of fantasy, and it follows 2 characters, one called Rincewind, who is a wizard, and another called Twoflower, who is a tourist visiting this particular world for the first time. And I will admit, when I first read this book, I absolutely hated the characters, and the type of reader I am, I need to really like the characters to continue on with the story, and I was just getting really frustrated. And my partner actually said to me, "No, it's so funny, it's great," because I had read other Terry Pratchett before, and I couldn't find the Terry Pratchett-esque things that I found in his other novels. And then I thought, okay, it has to be my mood. Let's give it another go. So I did, and it's absolutely fantastic. We follow the 2 characters on a huge journey from literally one end of the world all the way to another. Twoflower has luggage that follows him around on many legs, and it is a wonderful read, especially if you love fantasy novels, and it is full of Terry Pratchett's unique humour, and I absolutely love it, and I highly recommend it. So next up we have a novel by Neil Gaiman called American Gods. Now, there's a lot of mixed feelings, mixed reviews about this particular book. It is very, very long. I think, let me just double check, that it is actually, 682 pages long. So that's a fair amount. I don't usually read very long novels, so this was quite a challenge for me. What was also a challenge about this book in particular is it's very story dense. You're following them on a really huge journey. You're following a character called Shadow Moon, and he is an ex-con. And just before he's released from prison, he basically loses everything he's ever had in his life. And this leads him to meet a man called Mr. Wednesday, and Mr. Wednesday commissions him to basically be his errand boy, and he follows him on this massive journey. I can't really give away more than that without giving away quite a lot of story and plot that happens in this book. I will say that if you are like me and you want to follow characters that are complex and very well understood from the get-go, this book might be a little bit challenging for you, but I will absolutely promise you it is worth it at the end. The issues I had with Shadow being very compliant and not really knowing what he wants and not really understanding his point of view all make sense, but you have to get through the book, and it's absolutely worth it. Once I started to get quite a few chapters in, I actually couldn't put it down, and a lot of the reviews I see is I put it down at the 3rd chapter, I put it down halfway through. You have to keep going. It's fabulous. It's full of many characters, many stories, and that's what makes this book amazing. The way that Neil Gaiman tells all these stories about these different people and where they came from and how they all intertwine and intersect. It's an absolutely fabulous book, and I highly recommend it. Next up we have a book you've probably heard of because it's been around on Booktube for quite a while and has been very popular, and that's Turtles All the Way Down by John Green. And this particular book is the only John Green book I have ever read. I have heard about issues that people have had with his other novels, such as Fault in Our Stars, of how he writes female characters, but I found this book in particular to be fabulously written, and I didn't find a problem with the way that he wrote the characters in this book at all. We follow a teenage girl who is battling obsessive compulsive disorder, and it is quite a honest look at someone who is struggling with quite a serious mental health issue, and it really talks about the importance of relationships and how they affect us and the power of talking about our problems. It's just a fabulous book, and I highly, highly recommend this book. The next book I have for you in this list is very similar to Turtles All the Way Down in the themes of mental health and the power of relationships, and it's called The Rest of Us Just Live Here by Patrick Ness. And it follows a story of a particular group of teenagers who live in a town that is constantly under superheroes and villains' power. So villains hit this city, superheroes come and save them, destroy parts of their city, and it's about the group of children living there who have no superpowers, who literally are just part of the rest of the people who live there, which is why, of course, the title completely works. I absolutely love this book. I love Patrick Ness's voice on mental health, the power of relationships, again, the power of talking about problems, letting people in, and he writes those relationships so beautifully in this book. It has a bit of action, a bit of supernatural elements with the superheroes and the villains, but overall I have to say that I absolutely love this book because of the way that these relationships have been written, and there are some beautiful scenes between friends, and it follows another particular character who has obsessive compulsive disorder, another particular character who has problems with an eating disorder, and just a bunch of friends and how their dynamic plays out when they're all trying to pretend that they are absolutely fine. And yeah, fabulous book. Okay, so next up we have The Invisible Library. It's the first book in the series, and I'm currently reading, is it the 5th book in this series? The 4th or 5th book, I can't exactly remember right now. But it all starts off with this book, The Invisible Library, and it follows an organization called the Library, and their job is to go into many worlds that are attached to them. They are like a center port, and all these different realities are attached to them through little portals that they can pop out of and go and explore these worlds. Their purpose is to find and reclaim rare books from all these different worlds because they create stability once they are inside the library. We follow a particular junior librarian called Irene Winters, and she seems to always get thrown extremely difficult book retrieving tasks, and then tasks that are even outside the role of a librarian of this organization. She is thrown into all sorts of adventurous situations with a character called Vale and another character called Kai. I am not going to tell you much about them because they are lovely to read about and reveal exactly what purpose and what role they have within this world. But if you love adventure, fantasy, crime, mystery, this book is all those things rolled into one. And I know that sounds like, oh god, what a headache, what a nightmare. However, Genevieve Cogman really makes this a pleasure to read and seamlessly puts these genres together. And yeah, I highly recommend it. Like I said, I'm on my 4th or 5th book and I'm still loving them. So yeah, give The Invisible Library a try. I haven't seen it around much, but this is one of my favorite books. Last but definitely not least is Going Postal by Terry Pratchett, another Discworld series novel. And this actually is my favorite book of all time and continues to be my favorite book of all time. I think this is maybe my 20th or 30th time reading this book, and I find that I have to read it at least once a year because I have to revisit the world and this particular story. Going Postal is a story following Moist von Lipwig, a con artist who is commissioned by the leader, director, mayor, dictatorial figure of the city to restore the government post office. And what I love most about this book is Terry Pratchett's comment on politics that go on in a big city and how power, money, and status really get you certain things, but they will not get you others. It's such a brilliant book. My explanation is probably not doing it justice, but it is full of hilarity, even when there is all these shady political dealings happening, and it has fantasy elements in it, but this is just such an amazing example of Terry Pratchett's ability to pull you into a story and to follow a character. Yeah, you just have to read it. And if you have read it, you have to let me know in the comments below. So yeah, that brings us to our last book. Tell me if you have read any of these books, if you are currently reading any of these books, or if they're to be read for you. They are fabulous and I really enjoyed reading them in 2018. And yeah, now that we're in 2019, I'm going to start looking at the other books that I want to read. Let me know in the comments below what kind of other videos you'd like to see, Booktube related or chronic illness related, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.